with some of the decisions that were made over the years. And I can remember, if my mind served me correctly, a hotel on the Family Island made some noise in the papers, and I read it. They say that light bill was too high, and and they trying to keep the Bahamians employed. They said, "This is good. I don't want the Bahamian people to miss this." The PLP government gave them $30 million. They call it subvention or something like that, right? I say that's impossible. How can you give a private business $30 million subvention from the Treasury? It's going to be good. I say, man, I have to investigate that. They wouldn't allow me to go. Why? The reason why they gave it to them. But I investigated the hotel. I went to the hotel. Spent one day. I went that morning, charter plane. I came back that evening.
That's the hotel in Exuma.
And I don't want to say it because I don't want to put the owners. Listen, 75% of the people who I encountered at the hotel was Jamaicans. So why would we give $30 million from the Bahamian people treasury to help a business that 50% of the people who I encountered wasn't even Bahamians?
Listen,
you gotta understand. It's just unbelievable.
You are educated, man. You gotta understand. You did psychology 101, 201, 301.
Yeah, no law.
Let me say it again. When they sit to the table with somebody that looked like the master they were taught that controlled them, they still getting excited. They want with you, because they know they come back to you and you're gonna vote them in again. So we always own it. We own everything. We always get the worst part of the deal. Pure corruption.
Listen, I went and did a fact-finding mission in one of the greatest family islands other than South Andres. I was investigating this new investment in Bimini. And I come across how this company was set up. The principal person, foreigner, had some millions of shares. His son, his daughter, his cousin, uncle. The Bahamian had one share, right? Out of 5,000 shares, one share, right? I think she was the secretary or something. So I go on further. I say, well, why will the PLB grant parcels of land to a foreigner and allow them to sell to other foreigners? So I go on further, but I checked out. The law firms that doing our majority to sale, 90% of the sales the former member partner for the PLB. And you want to say, why are we allowed? We sit back and we say nothing. And we just told the Lord like donkey. We just keep on paying these high. Right now, Dario, really listen to me. I had Dr. Dwayne Sands on the show about 3-4 weeks ago. And he said that, Mr. Johnson, we as a people in this country have to pay $990 million in interest payment this year for the 2021 and 2022 budget. He said we as a Bahamians in this country have to pay some $560 million in principal payment. That's $1.5 billion. But $990 million in interest, $1 billion, $10 million less than $1 billion in interest payment. In 1967, when Mr. Stafford Science was running the country, we was in the black. You know what? How black leaders led us down this road, I asked.
All right.
You gotta take a break, Dario.
Yeah.
You gotta hold that thought.
Yeah.
It's 15 past 8. We're gonna take our second break. We're gonna come back. Are we a sunny country surrounded by shady people? After the break.
you.
We're back live at the Great Show, the Love 97. Well, listen, during the break, Mr. Tirelli was bringing up with the land issue and Takes Island. Listen, you ain't with no lie. 'Cause I did an investigation on the Loop Park project. Listen to this good now. The Loop Park project was designed, right, to give Bahamians an opportunity to have good title for every piece of land. I tell you.
Yeah.
A court ruling in the Privy Council with Margaret Agatat, let me see what the correct word. Simlet. Let me see what the first name. Target Simlet. Some Target Simlet. I guess the name of the person who was involved in Cat Island. And the judges ruled, the judges in the House of Lords, the Privy Council, and they gave a great statement speech against the land thief in this country. So it gave a good reason to start. They asked for a land registry,
Yeah.
and they says needed. This is what the Privy Council said. So it was justifiable to have this started, the Lupa project. So the former chairman of the PLP, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, he started it. Yet I think it was $3 million from Royal Bank and $2 million from IDB, or $3 million from IDB and $2 from Royal, whatever. It's $5 million anyhow. The payment people have to pay for. And the project had started in earnest. The PLP went in 2012 and stopped it. You know what this project is for? This project would eliminate all the bullshit Bahamians are taking advantage of this title search and false paper and these Bahamian women who can't believe they're being treated in this country like this with these you pay. Listen, I had one or two friends and I tell you one or two of them. I just give you two. I know one of my boys who's a plumber. He right now fighting in court. He done build an apartment on the land where he bought from a Bahamian. He fighting right now to save his apartments where he living and rent. He bad land. I had another friend who worked at the BDC. She was paying one of the main foreign bank, right? And she said the bank she was paid 6 years on the loan, plus her deposit. And said, when the people come say, oh, this is my land you building on, she don't get it. Only a foundation,
Yeah.
And they say, no, man. So she said, no, I went through the bank, give me a lawyer on the paper I must pick from, and I picked from the lawyer on the paper who's supposed to be having this indemnity insurance, right?
Yeah.
How is it that she can't, they tell us, listen, we agree to give you half of your money back? I mean, where in the world? This got to be the last place on earth. Things like that can happen.
We still
I
talking
give you
about
one more. A lady young and one of the state of West, good friend of mine. She built on this property through one of the foreign banks again. The foreign bank gave us the list, so they pick one of the lawyers of this paper. These who we deal with. She picked one of the lawyers of the paper, they do all her paperwork. She living in a house now, I must see 12, 15, 18 years, I don't know, but 15 years or so. A woman come up now, she ready to build on her property. Come to find out, she on the wrong property. So the woman says, so she said, man, just build on my property, because I didn't hear. I mean, like, your property is a whole different property than mine. We all in swamp.
Yeah.
That's just one of the subdivision they build in swamp.
Yeah.
So she said, the lady said, no. She want to value her property, which she have a right to, right? Because her property have a house on it now, right? Legally. So the bank tell her, they said, we give you $10,000 towards the payment to the lady for the value of her property. You have to pay the balance. And she's still paying mortgage on the house, To the same bank will only give her $10,000 back. There's got to be the only place in the world, Mr. Tirelli, that this has happened.
I have a question for you. You a trained lawyer. Can we take a class action suit against discrimination by...
Start off wrong. In the Bahamas, the practice is it's hardly ever be in a class action. No. That's American.
What? All right, I'm being discriminated, right? Because I'm a certain age, and I can't get none of those property that the Prime Minister's talking about up in Prospect and all that.
See,
right?
the lawyers in this country, Mr. Tirelli.
So you're discriminating against me because I'm not no more a young professional. Why wouldn't it be best? And that's how you move people throughout the country, right? We get tons and tons and tons of land in this country, all over. Why can't, when they brought that to the table, they should also broad land all throughout the Bahamas. We could take 5,000 acres in Exoma, 5,000 acres in Lutra, 5,000 in Andros, and say, all right, every Bahamian who could come up with $2,000, you could buy a piece of land. But you only could buy one from the one island to start off.
Listen, that's where you go right back to where you start off. Creativity. You have a mind, innovative mind. Listen, let me show you something. Let me tell you something. Their mindset is, if we grant it to a foreigner, we allow a foreigner to sell it to the next foreigner.
Yeah.
And you know what they do? They direct the conveyance, right, to one of the law firms.
Yes.
Right? Who, I don't know why they do that, right? But anyway, that's what they do. You own 100% of the land. Why you only want conveyance? When you do title, when you do conveyance, and then you pay the lawyer 1.5% of the value or 2.5%, right? Why would you want 2.5% of the value of the land when you want 100%?
Lousy, lazy, and corrupt. So think about it. So you have now a small population, tons of land. You want to move people throughout the country. You want people to also own something. Those who own land own the wealth, right? And you're gonna pick one plot of land, and you're gonna discriminate against everybody else that don't fit that criteria. When you sit on the judgment of every other Bahamian that asks for land. Now I gotta give to this Prime Minister, he went throughout the length and breadth of this country to give land. He bragged about that from the beginning, and I think he's still doing it. So I gotta give him kudos for that.
This Prime Minister.
This Prime Minister.
Right on, you would have the minutes.
However, they should have come to the table. That gang of merry men that sits in Parliament, that swear to the Queen and the successor, should have come to the table with a holistic approach of this country. If we're going to isolate 50 plots of land, why couldn't we isolate another 50 plots here, 50 plots here, 50 plots here, and give every Bahamian the opportunity? Just like how we did our port, we give Bahamians opportunity to buy shares. Well, if you figure I can't come up with $2,000, then you find a way to tax me onto that. So, all right, then we need to add something onto the national. See, that's how you be creative, right? Add something on the national insurance for the next 5 years, so you can start paying towards your 2,000. However, you own land, and I would go as far as you can't just sell the land within 7 years.
No, it's sell. You can't sell it at all. It's not. There could be a part of it where you cannot sell it.
So
you can put a rule down that can't sell it.
So imagine somebody who's struggling in Nassau, barely can make ends meet because we're very expensive in this country. I think we're the 6th in the world in living expense. I can't save enough to buy land. I get 3 kids. I try and work to make sure at least one of them go to college, and that's the Bahamian struggle. Or I try to live as comfortably as possible in this crime infested town. But however, the good Prime Minister gave me an opportunity to own a piece of land on an island that I would always love to go to.
You got to be creative, Dario. You're going back to where you started.
Why are we not doing this for our people?
Listen,
and we vote for these people,
listen to me.
And people are going to champion to vote for these same people.
Mr. Tirelli, what's this? In Turks Island, based on my understanding of the belongers, right?
Yeah.
You pick a piece of land in Turks Island. You know what they do? Based on my understanding, you pick a piece of land. The government then begins the paperwork, right? You register it and everything. You ain't paid $1 yet, you know. You build on the property, you get your plan approved. Once the planning section says that's zone for whatever you want to do, you get it approved, right? You start building on the land. You ain't paid $1 for the land yet. When the building reaches the bell cost, the government will, the land and service section of the government will then give you the market value of the land when you reach the bell cost to allow you to borrow money. They complete your building.
Yes.
You only pay $1 until you reach the.
That's empowering your people, eh?
You empower Turks Islanders.
Yeah.
You empowering them. Why? We continue to get these people. Listen, we got something that be wrong. Listen, we got members of Parliament, Dario, really, who a couple of years ago was charged before the magistrate court, right, for failing to pay national insurance. And we still work for them. They was charged before the magistrate court for failing to pay national insurance.
Well, we got to blame ourselves. That's how we blame ourselves. First, we let the party throw somebody at us.
Right.
We don't ask questions. Remember the 5 questions I told you I asked?
So right. Boy,
we don't ask questions, that's number one.
Yeah.
But we don't get involved with the party. Remember now, I've campaigned before.
Right.
I've campaigned for many years, either for myself or with party, right? And you go to these houses and then they make excuses, you that's coming around. But I had a headquarters there. How many people you want me to see? So our people are lazy, lousy, and corrupt also.
Yeah, but listen.
See, remember the last time on the show, I ended saying it's personal decision that covers like this, you know.
Right.
We got to make a personal decision that we want better for ourselves. Like I say, fortunately, these people dying out. So hopefully the new breed in both PLP and F&M comes with a new vision, but we still got to be there to punish them. We still got to be there to find out. We have to show up to the party meeting, whether you like green, red, or yellow, or blue. We still got to show up to the party meeting because why? If by default, the PLP win because people just don't want Menace in his party. We still got to know who the guy is in my. I live in Tall Pines. Mr. Miller's, I think, is one of the best MP ever.
Leslie Miller.
Yeah, Leslie Miller. He's not there, and and I love Michael Darwin. I think he's a great Bahamian. I think he could do well for the country. I think he's one of those.
So I think he just
free
needs to answer
thinkers.
some question why he left and abandoned the people in Freeport.
Well, people make decision. Well, he should have been punished in Freeport. Now he's here, and so you have to reach. I reach out to him, you know. I got his number and I reach out to him because why? I want to know who you are. Now, me being around long enough, I know who he is. Mm-hmm. You and I, you know, we know how to get our intelligence. Yeah. And so let's say by default he win because people want to. The majority of people in my constituency vote for PLP, right? Let's say that. And so, but I should know just in case he becomes my member of parliament.
What is his views on different?
What his views are? Do we believe in hanging? Do we believe in Jah or Jehovah or Elohim, whatever it is they cite? But he believed that I should pay water bill. Water and air should be free. And if we own the electricity company, I should be paying the minimum. If I own the airport, Mr. Dowell, tax the foreigners more, and they are willing to pay more. If you get 3 million people willing to pay with another $20 to come here, they're going to pay to come here. And let me go and travel the world as best as possible, exiting the Bahamas airport that I own along with everybody else. See, these are the questions we have to ask. But we don't want to take it upon ourselves. We make excuse, I never see him, or he never show up. Listen, on social media, you hit them up on social media because
But politics have to change. The landscape has changed. Yeah. So things when they get away, listen to me. Yeah. The things they get away, Mr. Tirelli, years ago, if they ain't make up yet, boy, them days gone. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? That's why, listen to me. Mr. Tirelli, it's a reason why they don't want local government in this country. It's a reason, you know. It's a reason why the PLP fight it. And it appears that the FM don't implement it neither. The PLP fight it for 50 years. Local government in Nassau. You know why? You empowering them people right there. When you give them their own money to fix the speed bump, to fix the marking in the road, to fix the sign, to weed along the road and weed their own graveyard, instead of you getting the Ministry of Works guiding the contractor who you want to give to, you empower them. Yeah. When you paying $33,000 for a garbage truck every month, and you, all the garbage truck with the former member of parliament, when he was the parliamentary secretary, Ron Pinder. All them garbage truck, you know, when the PLB win in 2012, they put all up there on Glantz, Cowpen Road. I don't understand why. I asked, I read a letter and tell you, I even row on the radio. Can the government give me 1% Cecilia? Can I buy one at a very low price for St. Cecilia and empower the young men in my area, St. Cecilia, in the Grove? We will do our own garbage. You pay us $32,000. We set up an office. We'll move our own garbage. Why they don't want to do that? Why they don't want to empower black people and citizens who you only good enough to pay tax? Something got to be wrong with that. It got to be virtually impossible, Mr. Tirelli.
And die struggling paying tax because tax is very high.
Man, listen, the loan, I tell you, you got so much problem. You have a myriad of problem in this country. The loan in this country, when you get one mortgage, time you finish paying, time to worry about your health, time to worry about Alzheimer's, aching, cancer, prostate. You could borrow $250,000 in America at 2.5%.
Yeah.
I got a loan, I paid 12%. Now! Thank you, Lord.
That's wrong. That's how we wrong.
I paid 12%.
Yeah.
I paid $2,500 a month on my loan I got, right? Because the bank say, hey, we commercially, so you can't get 8%. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, the 25% got me paying $2,500 a month, right? I wasn't finished, right? But what I'm saying, so the struggle is so hard to live a simple, decent life in this country. Is unfair. I mean, it's like the black people in this country is a curse, man. You mean, why we can't just have an opportunity to just use our brain to empower our country, the creative ideas?
Because the same people exist from the time we became
Some of
independent.
them still in power?
Yeah, if they are not in power, they still influence who comes in power. You see? Remember now, political parties are formed for one reason only, to get into government. It's a business. We understand that. That's why I'm saying behemoths gotta educate themselves. You gotta want more. But if you fall in love with party, that's why a person like you and I got away and went into the DNA and helped form parties, because we got tired of the system, you know.
You're tired of the system.
We get tired
You try
of,
to
we
fight the
tired of the
system by-
men, you know.
Right,
We
you see?
tired of
Yeah.
the system that the men who swear that when they get in will change. Why
Refuse to change.
don't we ever set that election day? You understand? Why we don't have a national lottery?
But you know
Right.
when you say, listen, hold on, you know when you say why we have a national election day, I remember in 1997, the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, said on the stage, ain't no one man born Prime Minister 2 times and 2 times
Yeah.
he lose guy with 4 times.
Yeah.
I mean, why? Why we some people
Because
entertain these
weak-
people?
Because weak men who work hard to get another 5-year play, work hard for them to stay going, right? I listened to a cabinet minister said that only one man makes a decision. Now this is a big educated cabinet minister, you know. So one man makes a decision on when election day. I hope he was in cabinet fighting that this change, right? I on the fence whether you need to have, because it automatically cancels itself out. Eh? Election is in May, it automatically cancels itself out and with some extension into August. So, you know, we can debate that. But why we haven't implemented things to make sure that the cost of living drops? National lottery is one. Sovereign wealth fund is one. I believe that every sand, every water, every fish, every airspace, every ocean carrier, everything, every salt, money should come directly from those, a percentage, to the treasury, as a, not necessarily put money in my hand, you know, but bring down the cost of living. So I don't have to go get those expensive loans.
Perfect.
You see,
You can't
and
say
I
it,
was so happy when I saw Lincoln Bain came out and started fighting that, and you know, I listened to I listened to Bahamians hit that. I mean, educated Bahamians. If I could get something from the salt, right? The hundreds of millions of dollars from the salt, or that these cabinet minister help design the industry to even be more. But there's some coming out of the sales. You understand? Put a tax sale on it, and that goes towards cutting down the bill that they have to borrow to pay the doctors, the lawyers, and the police and all that. The cost of living goes down, so I don't need to pay tax at the bottom.
Really, the system is designed in such a way. Watch this. Before you have a caller line, Prime Time and Independent Thinker, good night.
Yes, sir. Prime time, independent thinker. Welcome to you and your guests.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
I followed you through most of your show this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
What your guest was saying is right on. I said just recently that the building of the dual education that I believe is made, I don't think is in proper use, just next to the PM, but my government could have been renovated for less than $2 million and used as a COVID center. The building across from PMH, which now closed, still is industry, can be used as a lab, and you could have UV personnel along with who interact with the other universities globally, and that could be in a study lab right across from PMH. I mean, it is so, you see, because PMH don't have the capacity, and in order for it to serve the public properly, we need to move the COVID ward completely away from there. Yes, Samaritan's place is doing a good job. They're going to erect some tents, but they're outside.
Yeah, but caller, see, we have a problem in this country where I don't know why we fail, right? I don't know what it is. The middle class in this country fails to participate. They fail to help with the dissemination of information. They fail to be a part of the dialogue and the conversation. Let me give you an example. The justification of selling 51% of BTC in my recollection, if my mind serves me correctly, was to build a new hospital. Is that correct?
That was part of the
That's
bill.
what I was going to understand.
How is it in 2021 we still complaining but Princess Margaret Hospital overcrowded and the hospital was overcrowded before 2017. People was on gurney and the ward on the hallway before we even had the change the election. And before 2017, the hospital was full. So with a pandemic in the Bahamas, COVID-19, people, I don't know, a disease that you cannot see and that you have to breathe. And we still complaining about the Princess Margaret Hospital. And we allow the persons who sit in the cabinet at the time when they gave up the sale of BDC to get away. We as a people ain't rowing, we say, all he said is, man, I selling BTC to assess, if my mind said me correctly, the building a new, and everybody just sit back down and calm themselves because they know we need a hospital. So we accept that. And then after they sell 51%, then everything quiet down and they get away in the sunset just like that. Something gotta be wrong with us as a people. I'm called up. Something gotta be wrong. Listen to me. I tell you, I was on Bay Street, right? At that time, when they was debating the sale of BTC, when Brownwell row across the rock and next go on the line. And Mr. Ingram, I never forget this. The former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram said, I don't hear the outcry. Oh, Bay Street ain't full of people. People ain't quiet, there's no uproar. Mr. Ingram said it's an assembly. The Hansard will prove what I said. You know what I mean? Ain't no numbers out there, man. There's 1,500, 2,000 people out there. Man, they'll leave me. You wipe with them.
You answer that for it. I'll give you correlation.
Hello, Prime Time and Independent Thinker.
Independent Thinker.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, my friend?
You're right here.
It's the blind one, the blind man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the blind man and everything. I just want to say thank you very much, man. You've been a constant to me, man. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem. That's now St. James Road. No problem.
Let me give you a correlation because we love to call the prime ministers in this country by the third name, right? The only set of people in the world, all three names that get called, assassins. Who killed Abraham Lincoln? James Earl Booth.
Well,
think about it.
Okay.
And one of our good friends said that to me years ago, and I always kept that, They have assassin the joy and the beauty of this country. These same people we like to call by three names. You just call the former prime minister three names. We call the next one by three name and this one by three name. And the correlation to that is they kill a lot of dreams and aspiration of Bahamians in this country. The correlation to me is assassins. And you search the world over, assassins, they always call their three names.
I remember the former prime minister, one of the former prime ministers, former PLP prime minister, a gentleman, he just died. And he just died, his son. People want to ask him to see the former prime minister, right? One of the former PLP prime ministers. And because he had a dream to create this switcher factory, right?
Yeah.
And his dad set up, because he was very big in the PLP, set up his son to meet one of the former prime minister at a games where they had some foreign game they had in the stadium. And that's what he said to me. He said, man, well, come on your show. I said, no, I ain't gonna let you come and say that because it'll embarrass the Bahamian people, right? He said, no, man, listen, you married? That's what the former prime minister told him. He said, yeah, man. He said, but you know why you trying to create this business and this factory where I can start exporting, switching to the world? He said, man, listen, woman hug your wife, eh? Woman hug your wife, and some people ain't trying to create this and all kind of stress. Man, woman hug your wife and enjoy life.
Who killed JFK?
He walked right off,
Yeah.
right? And he, listen, tears is in the eye, And I tell him, I said, listen, but don't let him kill your dream, but try and find a way. Your daddy got money.
Yeah.
Try and find sell the plan to your daddy, right? Let him help you get it. And he started up. Switch is still, it's still in.
He's doing an excellent job.
It's still operating.
Yeah.
But he's trying to get some ground land and do it at a startup in a grandy way. He ain't exporting yet.
Yeah.
He's just locally. But he's trying to get that that privilege that foreigners get. The foreigners get all kind of concession. The foreigners get all kind of incentives. The foreigners get crown land where they ain't gonna never use, but it's allowed for them to have it to sell it.
Yeah.
You know what I say?
Listen, as soon as they believe they're going to get it, they start speculating in the world market. Then they start selling the picture in paradise. So they get a crown land. Let's say they get a crown land in Mount Thompson and Exuma. Let's say they get 10 acres. 1 acre they could go to the world and get $1 million easy. So before they even sign the paper, they go there and speculate. You understand? I'm going to build a huge living accommodation. I'm going to do this, do that. And all of a sudden they raise their capital. But you go and apply for crown land, see how long it takes. You go back a couple of months, they can't be finding.
Not right now, I have no problem. I'm trying to get
So
some.
let me, who killed JFK?
Right now.
Lee Harvey
You can't
Oswald.
find my document.
Yeah.
I put in for some crown land.
No, I already tried. I already tried
400
twice.
by 400. And you can't. And you have a next call on the line? No? Prime time with independent nigga.
Yeah, independent. I was about to respond, man, to be accidentally disconnected.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, on the same premise you're talking about Crown land, I agree with their
Yes.
said, but the only thing I put it up, there is sufficient Crown land in the Bahamas to give every single Bahamian almost an acre of Crown land without cost. Just charge them with the cost of them there.
Yeah, but caller, that ain't gonna happen because we have some 3.25 million acres left. You hear me just now?
Yeah.
If you want to find out if my information is correct, locate a copy of the LUPAC project, the LUPAC, LUPAC. I'll give you all this information what I'm giving you. There are some 3.25 million acres of crown land left. The problem is the mindset of persons who support the socialistic way of governing. They run the country at their best by independence. If you're depending on them, that's the only way they control you, because they're not being elected to the parliament as the best of the crop in the country. Majority of the persons who run for politics, they don't live where they run in. Right? They are part of a system or a cycle or a family, friends and lovers, right? And you wonder why things hardly ever get done. You wonder why the status quo in this country don't change. Why? Because they are part of the system. They are part of it. And they hate to change it because they benefit. They don't have to work hard. If you could give me an example, you could go in the assembly and be there for 20 years and there's not one bill that is named behind you or that you produce, that Bahamians now and later and generations to come can say, listen, independent thinker was the inspiration behind that. I give you one. The former Minister of Social Development, Allington S.P.B. Allen. He'll be remembered, him and Dr. Matthew Rose will be remembered by a bill would make it legal for two men to have consensual
Boogery bill
inside their privacy of their home. He'll be remembered that bill. And I told some PLPs, we had a big argument last week. Where I said to them, the PLP continues to complain today about this and that. They have the provision inside cabinet, inside the assembly. They call the private members bill. Stop complaining. Show the Bahamian people you ready to govern. You know what? They were just sit back for 5 years. Get paid a member of parliament salary. Get $100,000 a year. They don't get $100,000 a year. 4 years is $400,000. Don't do no work. Complain with everything. Oppose everything. Bang on the table. Crack joke. Make jazz. And that's it. And the Bahamian people just carry the tax.
And only show up to work maybe 65% in 5 years.
Mr. Tinker, like I said, we need innovative leaders. We haven't had one for after. Well, I could say Sir Lyndon was a very inspiring person, very inspiring. Despite the downfall of his latter years, but when he became premier in '67, he had a vision for this country. Now, given that a lot wasn't implemented, but most of what he implemented are things we are now enjoying today.
Yeah, but caller, you got to remember now, Sir Lyndon Pillett had some talented, brilliant minds behind him. He had a fella like Carlton Francis, a fella like Loftus A. Rook, a fella like the Maynard, and Hannah. You had Arthur D. Hannah. You had some talented, brilliant fellas by them.
Because he only had an 8-man cabinet when he was elected.
Yeah, but he only need what the Constitution required because listen, people like Paul L. Adley, the late Paul L. Adley, brilliant Bahamian. I mean, history will prove that he was beyond his time. Celinda was beyond his time. A. Loftus Roker, still living today. I'll say goodnight to the A. Loftus Roker. Listen, poisons like them. The Johnson gentleman, what his name was, from Cat Island. He have a son,
Danny Johnson.
Johnson's father.
Oscar
Johnson. I mean, we had some great men who gonna stand up as man.
Yeah.
And they never waver. They stand up as man.
Well, they don't wear tight pants.
They wear tight
Yeah,
pants.
look at the dress code in Parliament now.
Yeah, go ahead, go wrap up for niggas. You gotta take a break, so wrap up for my caller.
That should tell you something, eh?
Independent thinker.
We gotta find a way to propel this country forward.
When the
This country is a serious, dire problem in terms of finances, you know.
not only finances, every sector of the society, we have issues. You go back, in 1992, I was in high school in South Andres. The prime minister at the time was the late, great Celinda Oscar Pilden. And listen, they were saying, kill 3 birds with 1 stone. That was the analogy was being used at the time. Or the cliche, whatever you call it, right? They was going to use, put in the base, the front was based in Inagua, right?
Yeah.
Which could deal with poaching from Dominican Republic, which could deal with illegal migration of Haitians from Haiti, and which could deal with drugs that come from Jamaica and Colombia.
Yeah.
You put the base in Inagua. That's in 1992. How much years that is now to this 2021? That's 29 years ago. And the base still ain't probably in Inagua set up. The French Force boats, I mean, still leaving Inagua as their main port.
The Haitian...
I mean, we're running fuel from Inagua 400 miles to the Coral Harbor base. Every time the boat gotta go, they gotta be back because they had to run 400 miles come back. I don't understand what we had. It's gotta be a classic play or the economic hitman playbook.
Lazy, lousy, and corrupt.
Thanks, caller. I gotta go. We gotta take a break. We gotta take our final break before.
But we had a good run at it. The contribution is more than weighty, especially in this critical time in which we live.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you calling. Tune in and call in more often. Be a part of the conversation, my brother.
But see, Bahamian, this election time, Bahamians got to prepare themselves to get involved. You can't complain after the fact. You can't have the bumper sticker, don't blame me, I didn't vote for them. You have to get up, call, ask questions, and be prepared.
Yeah.
If you know the guy going to pass, but sure, there's a headquarters. See, our problem will be lazy, lousy also.
Man, listen,
and expect to get a result.
Listen, I was so involved in the DNA, boy, when I said people need straight. Listen, one of the members of parliament, I even paid for a live remote and he headquarters just to help him. That's how bad I don't want to win. I saw the PRP couldn't win in 2012. I just how bad I want to win in 2012 to take over the judicial system.
Why the part? See, you gotta blame ourselves. The only way somebody should run for a constituency that lives outside the constituency, if there's nobody else living in that constituency.
But that's right? What I see.
So that means we don't get involved. So if the party brings Joe, and another party brings Mary, another one brings Sue, nobody lives in the constituency, but you have good working branches of each political party. And then you get the masses of Bahamians don't get involved until the election. If we all come together and say, listen, man, we need somebody from our constituency.
Right, who live here.
Yeah. If not, we're going to cancel our vote and we have to do it collectively.
Right.
But our problem, we love color so much, we love party lying so much.
We got to take a break. We got to take our final break. We only have 6 more minutes to go. We are 8:55. We take our final break. Listen, I'm going to the break. Are we a sunny country surrounded by shady people? After the break. We're back live at the great studio of Love 97. I want to say good evening to Wendell K. Jones. Say good evening to Hubert Alexander
One of the greatest,
Ingram,
one of the greatest artists in the Bahamas, Mr.
former
Jones.
Prime Minister and the present Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander. Minutes. Good evening, my brothers. Like I say with this. Back from the break. 4 minutes left. Special guest in studio, my producer, extraordinaire engineer. Listen, I want to ask the next question before we conclude. And it'll be continued. Are we living a lie in this country? Are we living a lie in this country? I'll say one thing. One of the former prime ministers went on the international stage and stated that he's running a country with no natural resource. You know what happened? He came back to the Bahamas. The newspapers ain't attack him. His cabinet colleagues ain't attack him. They never said that, Mister, if you believe the Bahamas ain't have no natural resource, I need to come with this cabinet. They all sit by, eating their mutton with their mouth shut. Are we living a lie in this country, Dario Tirelli?
You said it. Central Bank a couple of years ago said that 8 on every 10 bank account is less than $1,000.
Yes.
You and I sit among more than 10 men sometimes.
Right.
So you count 10 of them. You see, you go in the grocery store and there's 50 people in that store. 80% of them have less than $1,000. And don't care about age, because that's statistic based on bank accounts, which is only owned by adults. Eh?
Right.
All right. So we're living a lie. We're living that we are prosperous because we want things. See, nothing wrong with that. Mr. Jones said the other day, you either have things or your bank account, which is very powerful. And I started using that as an analogy all throughout the Bahamas. In conversation, people call me from all over. You either have things or your money in the account. So if I don't have money in my account and I don't have things, I am bankrupt, eh? Basically. So we are bankrupt. So we are living a lie that we live in a prosperous life. When only a small handful of friend, family, and lovers enjoying the benefit of this country on the back of the poor.
They pay high debts. The poor people in this country pay so enormous high interest rate. And the people who take over the country, it appears that they be living in a bubble. Okay, how is it that rumors that some $7 billion is in a foreign country bank? No problem, that's your money, you will send there. The Bahamian people need a tax of that.
Yeah.
We need to get a tax of that. Why we isn't benefiting? Why the country debt to pay the police, pay the nurse, pay the doctors, fix the road, with all them, everybody, the rich and the poor using, but only the poor paying. The yachts pulling up by the house in Nike. The yachts pulling up in Coral Harbor to the house, in the back of the house. The yachts pulling up inside Port of Providence in the back of the house. They bring their stuff from the States. Everyone know that. That ain't no secret, right? And the poor people, everything they eat,
just like
everything they do.
The drug house in the neighborhood still exists, eh? So, lazy, lousy, and corrupt. If we know the drug house still exists in this neighborhood, I can tell you we have drug houses all over this country. The policeman got to know this also. I don't buy no drugs. I don't use no drugs.
But that's my positive. But you can't
Yeah.
be that because
So-
the last one,
So-
I say a joke on before you go. The last one, I say, everyone know where the guns in this country. The police sit down decide the outlet body.
Yeah. So.
But you guys, you're speaking
Yeah,
general.
I speak in
Yeah.
jurist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this country easy to solve, but we gotta start solving it by voting out real men and women who want to change it. Not continuously giving the same set of people a play that didn't do nothing in the past. But we gotta either get involved with vengeance in the party that we believe their
Yeah.
philosophy.
Right.
Right? Like I said, if we look at the law of average, by default, the PLP can win this. Think about it. Based on the last
because
5
they
elections,
could win.
right?
But the Bahamian people, boy,
So we have an angry population that don't want this prime minister, right? And then we have a whole heap of people ain't sure whether they want the next guy.
right.
And then we get a whole heap of Bahamians don't want to give another party a chance, like the party you and I came from.
Right.
You see? But they blaming everybody else except themselves first. Listen, two sides of the same coin. We gotta start off by making a decision personally that we can make the difference, We don't make that decision.
Well, listen, that's the last word. There really is 9:01. We have 1 minute over time. We are flat on time. I can bring you back by next month. You will be the chair. You can talk about this Lupa project. I mean, bring some information
I
from
will
Tex Island.
research that.
Listen, I guarantee you, when you see it's amazing. We have 3.25 million acres of crown land still left, right? When the politician hasn't given to foreigners as yet. And the Bahamian people takes years and then they die without getting a response. All they give is a letter acknowledging that we received your request for crown land.
Well,
That's it.
I already
That's the only
got
thing. Listen, some people joke and say that there is a foreigner who is in charge of land. So I said, I will never believe that. I don't believe he's no foreigner. And listen, some things happen in this country, boy, it's unbelievable. We flat all the time, producer. It's we flat all the time. So I'll end with this quote from the great late Sir Lyndon Oscar Pilgrim. If Bahamians aren't prepared to stand up and fight and defend their own Bahamas, then they don't deserve to have it. Good night, Bahamas. All the time.